Good afternoon, learners. My name is Atrey Sinha, Academic Officer English from National Institute of Open Schooling. Today we will read the lesson, The Shoeshine, which is an adaptation of the story by Shashti Brata, which is included in our Secondary English Course 202 as lesson number 7. The story highlights that positive attitude and the ability to think creatively are steps towards achieving success. And it emphasizes that no work is small and dignity of labor must be respected. Those who earn their living through hard work and through honesty should be honored. Before starting the lesson, we will look into the learning outcomes of the lesson. So, first of all, after completing the lesson, the learner could explain the theme of the story. They will infer that no work is below one's dignity. They correlate the role of cooperation, teamwork and interdependentness to success. They will recognize a positive attitude and creative thinking as characteristics of a successful person. And then they develop the quality of taking initiative and adapting to the unforeseen situation. They will also able to suggest why ego hustles and status consciousness would not lead to success and happiness. And then they will also discriminate between a subordinate clause and a principal clause and identify their functions, and they will also enrich their vocabulary as well. So let's start the lesson. I was standing outside the tea house in Connaught Circus, idly watching the traffic. I wondered if I could afford a cup of coffee and a plate of potato chips when a Shoeshine walked up and put down his box in front of me. Cream and polish, sir? He asked. So, we can see that the first line goes like that. I was standing outside the tea house in Connaught Circus, idly watching the traffic. So, this means that the narrator was standing near a place called the tea house in a busy area called Connaught Circus. And he was just casually watching the cars and people going by. I wondered if I could afford a cup of coffee and a plate of potato chips. And this line tells us that the person was thinking about whether they had enough money to buy a cup of coffee and some potato chips. And he was also considering if he could afford it or not. And then when a Shoeshine walked up and put down his box in front of me. So suddenly a Shoeshiner, that is someone who shines shoes, came up to the narrator and placed his Shoeshine box in front of him. Cream and polish, sir? He asked. So the Shoeshiner then asked if the narrator wanted his shoes cleaned and polished. And cream and polish are things used to make shoes look more shiny and new. So, move on to the next paragraph, next passages of story. Your shoes do need a polish, sir, the boy persisted. Yes, I know, I said, smiling, but I can't afford it. Can't afford it? The Shoeshine replied, joining me with a smile. Only 4 annas, sir. So here, your shoes do need a polish, sir, the boy persisted. So the Shoeshine boy is persisting because he believes that the narrator's shoes are in need of a polish. And he notices that the narrator's shoes are very dirty or not looking their best. So he is suggesting that they could use a shine. Your shoes do need a polish, sir, the boy persisted. Yes, I know, I said, smiling, but I can't afford it. So the narrator is saying that yes, he knows that her shoes are not polished, her shoes are not presentable, but the thing is that he can't afford to polish it. So the Shoeshine boy becomes very surprised and he reacted like that. Can't afford it? The Shoeshine replied, joining me with a smile. So the boy asked him, can't afford it. So, and smiles with as the narrator does, and only 4 annas, sir. And he further argues that the Shoeshine will cost only 4 annas, that is very less in comparative to other expenditure. And annas is a type of currency which are used in the very a long back ago, when annas was a type of currency, and 4 annas means very little. So the boy is now persisting that you should clean your shoes, you should polish your shoes, because it's only take 4 annas, nothing more than that. So the narrator must make a shoeshine for his own shoes. Then the story goes like that. I have not got 4 annas for a shoe polish, I said, walking away. But there was a puzzled and hurt expression on his face, as if I was making fun of him. You see, I am looking for a job. So the boy is now, so the narrator is now saying that I have not got 4 annas for a shoe polish, I said, walking away. So this part means that the narrator didn't have that little money to pay for a shoe polish. So he politely declined the shoeshiner's offer and request, and started to walk away. But there was a puzzled and hurt expression on his face, as if I was making fun of him. But this Shoeshine boy was not believing the narrator, so he was quite puzzled, quite confused, and he was also hurt. The expression of hurt, the hurt he felt was could be easily readable on his face. So as if I was making fun of him, as if the narrator was making fun of the Shoeshine boys. You see, I am looking for a job. So the narrator further explained that you can see that I am looking for a job. So the narrator reveals that he is currently searching for a work, a job, and he is unemployed. So any anna for a shoeshine is a huge amount for him to pay, to spend on that. So he is now arguing with the shoeshiner that why he couldn't afford it. Then the next paragraph goes like that. The boy picked up his box and started walking with me. Can't get a job with dirty shoes like that, sir. The boss sahibs won't like it. So the the shoeshiner boy has now picked up the box, as the narrator has started walking away from him. So the boy also picked up his shoeshining box and started walking with the narrator. Can't get a job with dirty shoes like that, sir. So he is now arguing that this is not possible for the narrator, but for having a job with these dirty shoes. The shoeshiner explains to the narrator why having clean shoes is important, and he says that it's hard to find a job if his shoes are dirty, because the boss or employer won't approve that. So that's the situation going on the scene. Moving on, the boss sahibs don't seem to like me in any case, I answered, beginning to get irritated. Polished shoes won't make things any better. I wanted to get rid of the boy, but he persisted in walking with me. So here, the boss sahibs don't seem to like me in any case. I answered, beginning to get irritated. Polished shoes won't make things any better. So here the narrator responds to the shoeshiner's advice by expressing his frustration, and he feels that regardless of whether their shoes, whether his shoes are polished or not, the bosses, the employers don't seem to have a positive opinion of him. And this suggests that the narrator may be experiencing difficulties in finding or keeping a job. then and thus his efforts to improve his appearance, his presentable, won't make a difference in how he is perceived by the employers. And he expresses a skepticism about the effectiveness of polishing his shoes, and this reflects the narrator's sense of resignation or hopelessness about his employment prospects, and suggests that he may have faced repeated rejection or discrimination in the past. And I wanted to get rid of the boy, but he persisted in working with me. So despite the narrator's irritation and desire to be left alone, the shoeshiner continues to accompany him, and this demonstrates the persistence of the shoeshiner, who seems determined to offer his services. Moving on, "You don't live in Delhi?" he said after a while. "No," I replied firmly. "I come from Calcutta and I don't want my shoes polished. I have an uncle who works in Calcutta," he went on, "earns a lot of money in the house of a Bengali babu." So, "You don't live in Delhi," he said after a while. So the shoeshiner makes an observation about the narrator's unfamiliarity with Delhi, and he notices that the narrator is not a local resident of Delhi. "No," I replied firmly. "I come from Calcutta and I don't want my shoes polished." So the narrator responds firmly that he is from Calcutta, presently Kolkata, and he further affirms that he doesn't wish to have his shoes polished. "I have an uncle who works in Calcutta," he went on, "earns a lot of money in the house of a Bengali babu." So the shoeshiner continues the conversation by mentioning that he has an uncle who works in Calcutta, and he adds that his uncle earns a good income by working in the house of a wealthy Bengali individual. And this remark indicates that the shoeshiner has connections to Calcutta and is familiar with people who work there. Moving on, instantly the thought seized me. "And how much money do you earn?" I questioned. "Oh, it all depends. On a bad day, about 3 rupees. On a good day, when there are lots of tourists, about 5, sometimes more." So instantly the thought seized me. "And how much money do you earn?" I questioned. So the narrator suddenly becomes curious and asks the shoeshiner about his own earning, and he wants to know how much money he makes in a day or in a daily basis. So, "Oh, it all depends." So the shoeshiner responds that it is variable. On a bad day, about 3 rupees. If the day is very bad for him, so he will earn up to 3 rupees. On a good day, when there are lots of tourists, about 5, sometimes more. So if the day is very good for him, is very fortunate for him, then he will earn up to 5, and sometimes even sometimes more. So on days when business is slow, he makes around 3 rupees, but on better days with more tourists, he can earn up to 5 rupees or even more. That's the response for the queries about his earning. So then the next paragraph, "I did a spot of quick calculation in my mind. The answer sent a shiver through me. The shoeshine earned more than Ram Singh, a clerk in a government office. Here at last was a solution." So I did a spot of quick calculation in my mind. So the narrator quickly did some mental calculation in his head, and the answer sent a shiver through me. So after doing the calculations, the narrator was startled or surprised by the result. The phrase "sent a shiver through me" suggests that the realization made the narrator feel a sudden shock or a jolt of emotion. The shoeshine earned more than Ram Singh, a clerk in a government office. And why he was so surprised? Because the shoeshine boy earned more than a clerk in a government office. He knows a clerk named Ram Singh, maybe he is of his acquaintance, and he is described as a clerk working in a government office, and he earns less than the shoeshiner. And this indicates that the boy, despite his humble occupation, was able to earn a higher income than someone with a more traditionally respected job like being a government clerk. Here at last was a solution. So upon realizing that the shoeshiner earned more than Ram Singh, the clerk, the government clerk, the narrator saw a potential solution to his own problem or challenges. And this realization offers hope or relief to the narrator and suggests that he may have found a way to improve his financial situation or find employment by following the shoeshiner's example. Then, do you think I could? I asked hesitantly. What, sir? Polish shoes? Like you, I mean, polish shoes? The boy asked, stopping dead. On the pavement like me? I didn't expect the loud laugh that followed. So, do you think I could? I asked hesitantly. So, the narrator now hesitantly, with an hesitation, asked a question to the boy, to the shoeshine boy. Do you think I could? What, sir? The boy responded with a question, asking the narrator to clarify what he was asking about. Polish shoes? Like you, I mean. So the narrator now explains what does he mean by he could. That is, he wants to polish shoes like that boy itself. Polish shoes? The boy asked, stopping dead. So this makes the boy so startled that he couldn't think more about it. The only reaction he could give is, polish shoes on the pavement like me. So you will polish shoes of others just like I do on the standing on the pavement. So upon hearing the narrator's question, the boy stopped abruptly and seemingly surprised or taken aback by the suggestion. And the shoeshiner further clarifies that if the narrator is asking about shiny shoes on the pavement similar to his work, and I didn't expect the loud laugh that followed. So the narrator did not anticipate the loud laughter that followed by the surprised expression from the shoeshiner boy, indicating that the boy found the idea amusing or unexpected. Moving on, it took me a lot of persuading. Shobhanlal, for that was his name, refused to believe that I wasn't making fun of him. He had to leave school 2 years before his matriculation. Why should I want to do his job when I had been to university? If he could speak English, he certainly wouldn't be polishing other people's shoes. So, it took me a lot of persuading. The narrator had to work hard to convince the shoeshiner of having a job of shoeshine. Shobhanlal, for that was his name, refused to believe that I wasn't making fun of him. So the narrator reveals the name of the shoeshiner as Shobhanlal and explained that despite his efforts, Shobhanlal didn't believe that the narrator was serious about it, and he thought that the narrator was teasing or mocking him. He had to leave school 2 years before his matriculation. This is talking about the boy, the shoeshiner boy, Shobhanlal. Why should I want to do his job when I had been to university? So Shobhanlal questioned why the narrator, who had attended university education, would want to do the same job as him. He didn't understand why someone with higher education would be interested in shining shoes. If he could speak English, he certainly wouldn't be polishing other people's shoes. So Shobhanlal believed that if he could speak English, he wouldn't need to work as a shoeshiner. And this implies that he saw language skills as a ticket to better opportunities. and he perceived his current occupation as a result of his limitations. Then he would sit in an office and be a sahib himself, earning a regular monthly salary, but he hadn't been born under a lucky star. His father had died of smallpox about 3 years ago. Shoeshining was no job for an educated man like myself. What would my friends say? So, the narrator goes on to say like that, he would sit in an office and be a sahib himself, earning a regular monthly salary. So this line suggests that Shobhan Lal had aspirations of working in an office environment where he could hold a respected position, possibly as a supervisor or manager, and receive a stable monthly income. But he hadn't been born under a lucky star. But he was not one of those lucky stars who have the opportunity to work in a office surrounding. His father had died of smallpox about 3 years ago. And why he was not so lucky? Because his father had died of smallpox about 3 years ago. And no, shoeshining was no job for an educated man like myself. So the boy Shobhan Lal is emphasizing that no, shoeshining, the occupation, shoeshining is not a job, is not suitable for a person who is very educated, who has the degree of degree from university. What would my friends say? So Shobhan Lal further expresses his concern about how the narrator's friend would react if he would to take up a job as a shoeshiner. And this suggests that he is worried about losing social status or facing judgment from others for choosing a job that is perceived as a lower in status on behalf of the narrator. Then I explained that I had no friends in Delhi, that I had left home without sitting through my exams, and most important, that even if I did apply for a clerk's job, I would be earning less than him. So I explained that I had no friends in Delhi, that I had left home without sitting through my exams. So here the narrator tells Shobhan Lal that he doesn't have any friends in Delhi, and the city, Delhi is the city they currently are, and additionally reveals that he left home without completing his courses, completing his exams. He didn't appear for the exams to have that degree, so that doesn't matter for him. And most important, that even if I did apply for a clerk's job, I would be earning less than him. So that's the calculation he did quickly a few minutes ago. So this is very important for him, that even if I did apply, even if the narrator apply for a clerk's job, which is a more traditional and respected occupation, he would still earn less money than Shobhan Lal does as a shoeshiner. But think of the status of working in an office with an electric fan over your head, Shobhan Lal argued. There is that, I suppose, I replied smiling, but I have to get a job straight away. So Shobhan Lal is now arguing, but think of that status of working in an office with an electric fan over your head. So Shobhan Lal is trying to persuade the narrator to consider the prestige and status associated with working in an office environment. And where the narrator would have modern amenities like electric fan, and he believes that this type of job would be more socially acceptable and desirable. But what was the response of the narrator? There is that, I suppose. So the narrator is guessing that maybe there will be much amenities, there will be many facilities. I replied smiling, but he replied with smile that, but I have to get a job straight away. The first and foremost motto of his life is to get a job in any way. After he gets a job, then he may think about the facilities and amenities, the toughness of the work and something else. But the person who doesn't earn anything, doesn't earn a paisa, the foremost concern of that person is to get a job first, is to get a mode, to get something from which he would earn at least a little, at least to fill in his or her own stomach. So that's the concern of the narrator of this text. Well, my friend said, reluctantly giving in. If you really want to, I don't know how the others will take it. There is a Shoeshine's union, you know, and Connaught Circus is a profitable place. If there's an extra Shoeshine, it means that everyone else earns a little bit less. So, well, my friend said, reluctantly giving in, that this indicates that the Shoeshiner, whom the narrator referred to as his friends, is hesitant or unsure about the narrator's having the job of shoeshining, and he is reluctantly giving in, meaning he is agreeing even though he might not really want to. There is a I don't know how the others will take it. So there are some other person who must approve the narrator as a shoeshiner in their group. So he further expressing his concern about the reaction of other shoeshiners, and he is worried about how other shoeshiners will feel if they see the narrator as their competitor. And this shows a sense of loyalty or solidarity among the shoeshiners, and as they may feel threatened by competition within their own group. There is a Shoeshine's union, you know. So it suggests that there's an organized group or association of shoeshiners in the area, and referred to as the Shoeshine's union. And unions are organizations that represent the interest of workers, often advocating for better working conditions, wages, and other benefits. And Connaught Circus is a profitable location, profitable place. That means there is a good amount of business for shoeshiners in that area. And this further emphasizes the potential impact of competition among shoeshiners, as each one may rely on the business they receive in such a lucrative spot. If there's an extra shoeshine, it means that everyone else earns a little bit less. So this statement highlights Shobhanlal's concern about the economic implications of having an additional shoeshiner in the area. And he is suggesting that if one more shoeshiner is there, it could mean less business for the others, leading to a decrease in earning for everyone. And this reflects a competitive environment where each shoeshiner's livelihood depends on the number of customers they can attract. Moving on, I hadn't thought of it like that, and Shobhanlal has opened up a whole new world for me. For the moment, I lost the feeling of hopelessness and despair which had possessed me ever since I arrived in Delhi. To work as a shoeshine became the most important goal in my life. So the narrator admits that he hadn't considered the significance or potential of working as a shoeshiner until he met Shobhanlal. So Shobhanlal's insights or way of life have completely changed the narrator's perspective and introducing him to new possibilities and opportunities. So for the moment, I lost the feeling of hopelessness and despair which had possessed me ever since I arrived. So prior to meet Shobhanlal, the narrator was very hopeless and was in very despair because of the condition of employment here. And he was so desperate in getting a job since he arrived in Delhi. However, Shobhanlal's influence has temporarily relieved him of these negative feelings and offering a sense of hope and purpose. To work as a Shoeshine became the most important goal in my life. So as a result of their encounter with Shobhan Lal, the narrator's priorities have shifted dramatically. He now perceives working as a Shoeshiner as his primary goal in life, and indicating a newly found sense of purpose and direction. Moving on, but if I can persuade the others, Shobhan Lal said, breaking into my thoughts, you will need to get all the stuff. A box like this one, brushes, cream and polish and some rags. Yes, of course, I replied, drawn back to reality once again. And how much will all that cost? So, but if I can persuade the others, Shobhan Lal said, breaking into my thoughts. We will come to this point after a short break.
प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोट से युक्त हो
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े वे विषय की लोट से युक्त हो
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने राहों को आलोकित करने
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का पैगाम खुला सबकी खातिर शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर
Welcome back, learners. We were reading The Shoeshine by Shoshti Broto, and we were on that spot where the narrator is proposing to Shobhanlal, the Shoeshine boy, that he is also willing to have the job of shoeshining. And now there is an argument to place that there is an organization of shoeshining union. So what will be the reaction of that? So Shobhanlal was saying like that, but if I can persuade the others, Shobhanlal said, breaking into my thoughts, you will need to get all the stuff. A box like this one, brushes, cream and polish and some rags. Yes, of course, I replied, drawn back to reality once again. And how much will all that cost? So Shobhanlal interrupts the narrator's thought to discuss a plan, and he is referring to convincing other shoeshiners to let the narrator join them in their work. So he is saying that, but if I can persuade the others, you will need to get all the stuff. A box like this one, brushes, cream and polish and some rags. So Shobhanlal lists the items the narrator will need to start his own shoeshine business, and this includes a box similar to the one Shobhanlal uses, brushes for cleaning shoes, cream and polish to make the shoes shiny, and rags for wiping. Yes, of course, I replied, drawn back to reality once again. And how much will all that cost? So the narrator responds, returning to his focus to the conversation. He was previously he was thinking about the prospect, but now he comes to reality and asks about the cost of getting the necessary equipment, and he is now becoming practical about the financial aspect. About 10 or 12 rupees, Shobhanlal answered, shouldn't be much more than that. Really? I said and started laughing. Why? What's the matter? Don't you believe me? So about 10 or 12 rupees shouldn't be much more than that. So Shobhanlal provides an estimate of cost required to purchase the necessary equipments for starting a shoeshine business, and he suggests it will likely be around 10 or 12 rupees, indicating that it shouldn't be much more expensive than that. Really? I said and started laughing. The narrator responds with surprise and laughter upon hearing the estimated cost, and this reaction suggests that he finds the amount surprisingly unexpected. Why? What's the matter? Don't you believe me? So Shobhanlal, noticing the narrator's reaction, questions why he finds the estimated cost amusing or unbelievable. And he seems puzzled by the narrator's response and seeks clarification. Of course I believe you, but the simple fact is that I only have 5 rupees and some loose change. This time Shobhanlal was really shocked. His mouth fell open and his eyes shot up in surprise. You mean? You really mean? So of course I believe you. The narrator acknowledges that he believes Shobhanlal's estimation of the cost. But the simple fact is that I only have 5 rupees and some loose change. But he only has 5 rupees, that is the fact, and some additional small change like coins, which isn't enough to cover the estimated cost. So we can realize the adverse situation of an unemployed youth. This time Shobhanlal was really shocked. Shobhanlal reacts with genuine surprise and shock upon hearing that the narrator only has 5 rupees and some loose change. His mouth fell open and his eyes shot up in surprise. His facial expression with his mouth falling open and eyes widening in surprise illustrate his astonishment. You mean? You really mean? He seeks confirmation, wanting to ensure that the narrator is serious about his financial situation. I am afraid I do, I replied. You see, I could never have an electric fan over my head. He closed his eyes and his face became thoughtful while he put his hand inside the pockets of his half pants several times. I am I am afraid I do, I replied. The narrator responds to Shobhanlal's question, confirming that he indeed only has 5 rupees and some loose change and actually nothing more. And the narrator then provides a reason for his limited funds. You see, I could never have an electric fan over my head. He expresses a sentiment indicating he couldn't afford luxuries like an electric fan. And he suggests that he is accustomed to living with financial constraints. He closed his eyes and his face became thoughtful while he put his hand inside the pockets of his half pants several times. So Shobhanlal reacts by closing his eyes and becoming thoughtful. He seems to be pondering the situation while searching through the pockets of his half pants, shorts, multiple times. And this action suggests he is considering possible solutions or ways to help the narrator despite the financial limitation. Moving on, well, he said, we shall have to find a way. It was nearly 6 o'clock and we walked a few yards in silence towards the Rivoli cinema where a show had just ended. Shobhanlal quickened his steps. I must work now, but you come to see me at 11 o'clock after the last show. Then I shall talk with my friends and see what they say. So, well, he said, we shall have to find a way. So, Shobhanlal acknowledges the challenge presented by the narrator's limited funds and expresses determination to overcome it. And he suggests that they need to come up with a solution together. It was nearly 6 o'clock and we walked a few yards in silence towards the Rivoli cinema where a show had just ended. This indicates the time of day, and the narrator and Shobhanlal start walking towards Rivoli cinema where a movie has just finished. And Shobhanlal quickened his steps. Shobhanlal begins to walk faster, suggesting he is in a hurry. I must work now, but you come to see me at 11 o'clock after the last show. So Shobhanlal explains that he needs to start working, but he plans to meet with the narrator later on after the last movie showing at 11 o'clock. Then I shall talk with my friends and see what they say. So during this meeting, he intends to discuss the situation with his friends and see what they suggest as a solution to the narrator's financial problem. All right, I nodded as I watched him walk away. And don't worry, he shouted just before he turned the corner. If they let you work here, we will find the money somehow. So, all right, I nodded as I watched him walk away. The narrator agrees with Shobhanlal's plans and nods their heads in affirmation as they observe him walking away. And don't worry, he shouted just before he turned the corner. Before disappearing around the corner, Shobhanlal shouts back reassuring words to the narrator and he tells him not to worry. If they let you work there, we will find the money somehow. So he assures if they are allowed to work the narrator as a shoeshiner, he will find a way to help him secure the necessary funds. So that's the first part of the story, and till now we have read how the story dealing with the narrators meeting Shobhanlal, the Shoeshine boy, and a Shoeshine boy in Delhi, and realizing that he makes more money than a government clerk by polishing shoes, and thus the narrator becomes willing to take the occupation of shoeshining if he is allowed by the Shoeshiners Association. And another problem is that he has very little funds, but Shobhanlal assures him that they will cope up with that. Moving on to the story, I walked along the streets of Delhi. I wondered what the history of my country meant to me. Here was a land where man had achieved greatness on every plane: astronomy, algebra, architecture, even poetry.
प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने। हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
Learners, we were reading the Shoeshine by Shoshti, the lesson number 7 of our secondary English course. And we have seen in this story that how the narrator met with Shobhanlal, the Shoeshine boys, and how he becomes very influenced by the earning of that boy, that he also willing to take the job as his own. And how the situation goes, that how he will be accumulated with the Shoeshining union. So that's the story about the Shoeshine by Shoshti, and we will finish the story in our next class. But before that, I want to highlight some key points of the story. Like, this story highlights that positive attitude and the ability to think creatively. These are the steps towards achieving success. And the story also emphasizes that no work is small, and dignity of labor must be respected, and those who earn their living through hard work and honesty should be honored. And this story also draws attention towards the fact that everyone is intelligent, and if given the opportunity, can rise in life. So that's the first part of the story, the Shoeshine. We will do the next part in our next class. Thank you.